Hello, hello, and welcome to the People's Card Shop stream. It is I, Ed, joined with Michael. Here we are at the Nexus night. We have two people who we get featured a lot on stream. We have Clinton versus Malik, and it's going to be a Irelia mirror match. A really complicated mirror match, a lot of untapping and tapping to be had done. So can't wait to see it. Malik is actually one of the best players in our local. Oh, thank you, Malik, for the Zon Warren's pick. That's an interesting one. Uh, especially with the battlefields being hit right now, there's a lot of room for innovation for the battlefields. So I've seen a lot of Zon Warrens. I've seen Aspirants climb. A lot of interesting things for the Irelias. And the stream's working, right?
Yeah,
All right, cool, 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 cool.
I'll double check though.
Yep, and we are here. We are live. Just want to say thank you to everyone watching. If you like what you see, we have a bunch of VODs open. And just like I said, there is a Aspirants Climb on Clinton's board. Aspirants Climb often used because Irelia really is very good in the late to mid game. It just needs to get over this initial hump of the popping off. So very strong here, but much better in matchups where, Irelia is more of a control one. In the mirror, it is mainly about tempo and things like that. But let's see. Malik gets to go first, starting off with two runes. Normally, they like to play a two-drop, sometimes a Guardian Angel, and Malik is starting off with a Guardian Angel. Clinton can start off with a Guardian Angel of his own, maybe a Boots of his own, probably going to be Boots, and there it is, the three-drop Boots. If you don't know what Boots does, it gives a unit ganking, a very strong move in conjunction with a turn 2 Irelia.
Dude, especially in the mirror, having the boots over the opponent's Irelia is such a gigantic boost in your favor.
Yeah, I'm actually a firm believer that Boots is one of the most broken gears in general, giving uh, ganking. But Clinton choosing not to summon Irelia, choosing to summon a Poro, trying to play around something like Charm. Oftentimes, Charm, the one mana cards in these matchups are so powerful. Charm, Defiant Dance, and what's the other one? Defy is really, really strong in these matchups. So not committing your Irelia, that's a very solid move. I like that one right now. But here Malik is at a crossroads. Oftentimes, a uncontested Stellar Corn Herder is one of the most powerful things you can be doing in Riftbound. And being able to move, if you don't know what Stellar Corn does, whenever it moves, you are able to draw a card. So with the ability of Irelia, the Blade Dancer, continually untapping and tapping so the Stellar Corn can move, it is a very, very strong card in this Irelia deck.
Yeah, they both got opposite ends of the power spectrum. You have the Herder, which is going to get you a lot of card draw, but our other player has the Boots, which is like a powerhouse in its own. So let's see which start is stronger. I personally think the Stellarcorn Herder might be a better start because you can draw into those boots. But if you don't draw into those boots, is kind of a problem. You're getting 3 draws. I agree with the Ride the Wind. We're going to move it over, draw again, and then move it back for protection, getting 2 early points and 3 draws in the mirror.
And it's key here that Ride the Wind can move it anywhere. Malik choosing to move it to a location to score, but more importantly, because it's still readied, Malik is able to move it back into a safe spot like the base. Oftentimes, in any matchup, you kind of don't want to leave your important creatures in the battlefields because they're so susceptible to removal spells, plus just in general creatures just running up and killing it. But a stack deck from Clinton being able to look at the top 3 cards, trying to find just something here to answer these double Stellar Corn Herder. Stellar Corn Herder oftentimes is such a powerful card because if you don't stop it, it just ends up getting more and more fuel to move Stellar Corn Herder. And the Boots on the Poro is going to be able to run up. So I'm not going to lie. I feel like he could have just ran the Poro up and then scored. And then after, you could just put the Boots on. It gives it ganking. Let's it do it. There you go. There is a charm for the Stellar Corn Herder. Such a strong move. The only issue here is Malik has a second Stellar Corn Herder.
Yeah, that is insane draw tempo.
Yeah, often the times the way that I find myself beating Irelia is to basically make them use up all their buff spells as quickly as possible. However, with a Stellar Corn Herder, you're able to refill your hand as fast as possible. So Malik is able to basically cover up one of the weaknesses of this Irelia deck by just having a surplus of cards.
And especially in the mirror, it does come down to which player is able to activate more reactionary spells on your opponent's turn. And eventually, if you don't have your herder out, you are going to run out of spells way before the other Irelia does. So having two Stellar Corn herders, being able to draw multiple cards in the early game, the boots are nice, but it's not as nice as multiple buff spells. Because what is ganking if you actually can't beat over the opponent's minion if they have 50 buff spells in their hand?
Ooh, and there you go with the Zon Warrens discarding a Tide Turner here. Oftentimes, once you set up like the monster that you want to have for the rest of the game with the Irelia deck, extra creatures are kind of just superfluous. They're unneeded, and you kind of just want to have as many reactionary cards as possible. And I'm not gonna lie, looking at Malik's hand, he does have a lot of reactionary cards. And the boots for Malik himself, that's oftentimes what the Irelia deck is looking for, is you want to have a lot of these buff spells to kind of get you through the early game to hold the stuff. But if you can have something like a boots or an equipment to continually boost up your unit, that's just better than a buff most of the time. And a discipline putting up this Poro up to 6 to 5, I believe. Yep, 5 off of it, requiring Malik to have a pump spell. More often than not, Malik will use this pump spell because honestly, this Stellar Corn Herder is his win con right now. And a disciplined back, most likely going to be Defy here from Clinton here. Now it's necessarily up to Malik to have another Defy with it, or another buff spell, but it looks like he has options here. He has two Defiant Dance and even has a Defy. If I were Malik myself, I would use something like the Defiant Dance. I really, really think Defy is such a strong card in the mirror. I want to save it for a bigger choke point, but I can definitely see Defy being a strong move here.
And the problem is he also has 1 mana still available, so if we defy the Defy, if he's able to have another on guard, then we're in the same situation.
And the Defy does go through, and it's honestly not that bad of a trade for Clinton, because the Lonely Poro does die. It does get to draw a card. It's not like an Irelia died or something that is a huge, huge mana investment. But it is a 4-1 lead, and oftentimes that a 2-point swing is so huge because that's a whole turn that they get to just basically take off or set up. Clinton going up to 6 right now.
The Stellar Corn Herder is pretty much stranded right now. We do have the Guardian Angel in the back, but it is not equipped. So if we're able to get anything in with the Ride the Winds, but it seems like we're not quite able to do that. It would have been nice to clean up that Stellar Corn Herder. But this is a perfect time for the Stellar Corn Herder to be up there with no units in the back on Clinton's side, and nothing to retaliate against being completely tempoed and tapped out. We did not have to attach the GA onto the Herder because we feel like she is already safe, because our opponent doesn't have much to do in order to get there. And a pass. We are just playing 1 Guardian Angel and passing. Here's the problem. Clinton did not get his draw engine. He did not get his disciplines. He did not get his Stellarcorn Herder in order to draw multiple cards to replenish his hand, while Malik is going strong. He's moving again with the Stellarcorn Herder. There's so many movements, so many draws. His hand is full.
I'm not gonna lie, I like this development of Vex for Malik, mainly because he is gonna be at 6 points. And Vex is one of these great cards that kind of, if you don't know what Vex does, is when she's in combat, she actually makes things more expensive for your opponent and more expensive and less and more cheaper for you. So in these like final turn pushes where, it's on Clinton to just have a bunch of reactionary spells, the Vex running in potentially can cut the removal in half. But it just remember, it is 1 to 6, but Malik doesn't actually have game point right now because of the Aspirant's Climb. This Aspirant's Climb making the game go much longer potentially could have a lot of volatile things happen in this mirror.
The Vex is always not just a common auto-include in every single Irelia deck. Even though it is so strong in the mirror, it is a game of who can sling more spells and have more buffs in the battle. And if you have a Vex, that's definitely going to be you. The one thing now to get rid of this Vex would be if we were able to have a Charm. This is the time to get the Vex. Even though Vex is developed, Malik can only use one spell because Vex only lowers it to 1 minimum. So you are only going to be able to get one spell out. So now is the time in order to charm that Vex in. We should do our buffs preemptively before we attempt to do that, though. If we have the charm, it would be nice.
And a ride the win here. So the real question is Clinton going to ride the win onto the battlefield and run away with the Stellarcorn, or put the Stellarcorn back into base to run up? But a Defy makes sure that does not resolve here. This ride the win, besides being a point in itself going into the other battlefield, it is going to be a draw too. So Malik saying, hey, I really want to stop that.
I agree with this course of actions. The turn before he played a GA and passed, we know that Clinton is starving for cards. He does not have what he needs. So 1 Defy, getting rid of 2 cards and a point is 100% worth it in the situation where you know how starving your opponent is for extra cards in his hand. And again, the Irelia matchup is decided by who is able to play more buff spells. And the Herder just makes it so that you see more cards. He has his Swiftness Boots. Clinton started with the Swiftness Boots first, which is really nice, but he didn't have anything to really follow it up. Malik had the Herder and was able to draw into the Boots later on into the game, which proved to be stronger in the mirror match.
This is going to be a really uphill battle for Clinton. He's not really up in any shape or form, whether it only not up in mana, not up in cards, not up in points. So let's see how he navigates it here. This Vex is actually just really horrifying. Vex basically just turns a Defy into Defy into 2 mana, into a lot of stuff. But Malik is able to activate Discipline here to make this Vex an 8.
Also, I do love the use. If you are new to playing the Irelia deck or playing Vex, he pushed Vex into the combat first and then played Discipline because it makes it cost 1 less only while Vex is in combat. So yeah, we could use it and see what we get off the draw, but we want the 1 mana discount, so we pushed in first and then used our Discipline to get the mana cheaper off of it. We're going to bust the Guardian's Angel off of the Stellarcorn Herder. It's going to be retreated back to base, so it can be used another day. We're going to move over our Stellarcorn Herder into the Vex lane. It does have ganking. We're going to keep it so that if our opponent does want to attack the Stellarcorn Herder, it has to go through the Vex's debuff of you have -1 for, or I have -1 for all my spells, but you have +1.
And the Herder moving up, giving Clinton more cards. And honestly, this Zon Warren's Conquer is going to be big also because he gets to filter out his deck a little bit more.
We are on game point here with the hold.
And I can see Malik's hand, and he has a slobber knocker of a hand. He has a triple Defiant Dance, and he has a Defy. So a lot of combat tricks being available for Malik.
It really just came down to the herder. The herder giving
The
Malik
second herder, honestly. The first herder, Clinton did have an answer with the charm, but the second herder really took over the game to where Malik just drew 5, 6 cards. An interesting thing about Malik that if you guys don't know, Malik's actually a top 30 player in the Riftbound ELO. He's one of the few grandmasters out right now. He's very, very, very strong playing Irelia and very solid player. So it's a great thing to be able to watch him having a high level play. And Clinton's no slouch either.
And Ed bringing that up, it's pretty interesting because some people might not know that you can actually look up your Riot Riftbound account, and there is a ranked ladder, and it keeps track of all your wins and losses, and it does tell you out of everyone who plays Riftbound what rank are you, which is really cool. I did not expect them to do that, but it's so interesting, and I really love that they did. A lot of other card games have something similar, but Riftbound being newer, I didn't expect it to come out so soon, only with the second set. Triple Defiant Dance. And we had a Defy and a Not So Fast. And again, that just shows you when you have more cards, you have more options in order to read the room. And Malik was just able to run away with the game because it was safer for him to make his moves around the battlefield, knowing that he had ample answers over his opponent.
And that was it. Really how do you say, a steamroll with Malik being able to just have a Stellar Corn Herder just resolve as much as possible. But an interesting here is what battlefields are both players going to use. I saw Malik was hovering a Sunken Temple. Sunken Temple is a normally great battlefield for going second when you know your opponent can't use the Sunken Temple. However, one of the main issues for Clinton is that he gets to go first. So he'll be able to use a Sunken Temple. Normally the Sunken Temple is asymmetric where only one person gets value out of it. But here it is less powerful because Clinton gets to abuse it just as strong. And there it is. He basically has two going first battlefields here because it is the mirror match with this Targon's Peak and with the other battlefield. And it looks like Malik is going to stick with his guns here and choose a Targon's.
I do like the Targon's Peak here because if you're getting second dibs at the Sunken Temple, I don't want my opponent to draw cards because especially in the mirror match, getting more cards just means, like we said in game one, and we saw more opportunities to take control of the entire game. I wonder what Clinton's going to have as his battlefield. He probably is just going to start his own Sunken Temple. Honestly, if we thought Clinton would start Sunken Temple, then if we go temple to temple, it's not that bad because he gets first dibs at his own temple, but we get first dibs at ours, so that could be a thing. But it is a little risky. We are up one game. We want to make sure that we have our stronger battlefield going first, and we can make sure that we get to that temple. So I think it is fine putting both battlefields, but this one is less of a gamble because if Clinton doesn't have Sunken Temple, or he does not put the Sunken Temple on the battlefield, then it's kind of rough for us.
And if you don't know what's going on here, we are playing a Nexus night. It is going to be 3 rounds of great Riftbound goodness, and this is the People's Card Shop stream. We stream at 6:30 every Monday PST, so come check it out. And if you like the VODs like us yapping, my name is Ed, and I'm joined with Michael, and we are Conquer and Hold. Check out our YouTube channel. Check out our VODs. We have a lot of cool deck profiles. We also have a lot of great matches. And we also have match 2 starting up here. Clinton gets to go first. If I was him, I'm trying to look for maybe a Lonely Poro or a development of an early gear. But also both players need to keep in mind that having cards for later on in the game is going to be good. So keeping on to stuff like a Defy or Defiant Dance for the late game is going to be great.
What's that one mech that destroys gears? I'm pretty sure he has that in his hands.
Oh, and I think Clinton chose to go second.
We do get more mana, so we do get to get our Irelia out there faster.
Oh. Maybe he just didn't shuffle up his mana. All right, there you go. No green. No green is a huge thing because now he can't play a 2-drop and then have something like Defy up here. So right now Malik is safe from Defy, but it might not be a huge thing right now going on. Untapping 2/4, and let's see where this Tide Turner goes. It goes into the Targon Peak. If you're unfamiliar with Targon's Peak, what that card does is when someone conquers there, at the end of their turn, they can untap 2 runes. A very strong card whenever you go first. One of the best cards in something like Draven, but it's nothing to slouch at in the Irelia deck, being able to untap 2. Oh, and you know, Malik forgot that. Even some of the best players might not. Oh, there you go. He probably heard me through the, through the force. And here we go. This is it. If you don't, Malik summoned here, he summoned an Adaptatron. Adaptatron is a 3-might unit, 4 power, and if he conquers, he gets a buff, but more importantly, he gets to destroy a gear. Oftentimes, these gears are used as a way to kind of just accrue value, but this Adaptatron forces out the use of these gears by just being able to pop and destroy as much as possible.
I think a true slaughter right now would be to conquer with Adaptatron, kill the GA, and then buff your Adaptatron, and then charm the Irelia in. That's like you literally win the game.
Yeah, the game might be over if there is a charm plus discipline, just like Michael said, but let's see where it finds out. Here comes the Adaptatron. A Conquer comes down, but more importantly, see you later. Zonia's Hourglass.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, like, I love the Hourglass into Irelia tempoed out, but then it's popped.
5. It's probably going to be Irelia of his own here. Ooh, it's going to be a Vex. And Vex, again, is one of the most... If you know the matchup doesn't have something like Falling Star or Singularity, Vex being run out is so much pressure.
Yeah, it's in some decks. It's not like every Irelia deck is running Vex, but it is definitely strong in the mirror for sure, and it's very strong versus decks who want to use a lot of spells on your turn.
And Clinton running up to kill this Adaptatron. This Adaptatron has to go. The longer it stays, the more your gears are going to come in.
I'm really sad the Adaptatron died because over the course of the game, it would be so nice and controlling in order to have that. But developing the Vex means that we're going to have an easy time taking down Irelia in the next turn because you have to use so much mana to protect this Irelia.
Yeah, because normally when there's just 2 mana open, Clinton has the world. But with a Vex in combat, suddenly 2 1-mana cards can't be played in the same turn.
Yeah, I think, as you said, specifically in this matchup, Vex is a monster.
Yes, Vex is huge in these matchups where reactions are the ways to win. But Clinton is no slouch here. He is able to double conquer. And more importantly, great usage, great movement of Clinton, being able to run into the Sunken Temple, but more importantly, ending on the Targon's Peak. That is a huge thing to end on because he's able to get 2 extra mana.
And the charm. Do we have enough in order to beat this? We have basically only 1 spell, though. Malik is able to use 1 spell of his own. Clinton can only use 1 spell too because of the Vex debuff. If Vex goes down here, it is a big swing to Clinton's favor.
But I don't think 1 buff does it, right?
Yeah,
because it's going to be 6, 8. Yeah, one buff. Actually, no, one buff does do it if it's specifically a Defiant Dance. It's going to be a trade.
He does have Defiant Dance, but Clinton would have not done this if he did not have some type of 1 mana buff in his hand
Yeah.
in order to counteract 1 buff from Malik.
From what I've learned, at least, in this mirror, you want to have a surplus of Defies. So this play, unless Clinton has a Soul Read that Malik doesn't have anything, is most likely backed up with said Defy.
Now, in the long run, even if Malik loses this game, you have to note that that was such a skillful, conservation of his Defiant Dance. Yes, you can rip the Defiant Dance there and say, hey, we're going to trade, but if Clinton did that charm, he has an out to you having Defiant Dance. He's already calculated the Defiant Dance buff and debuff in his head. There's no way that he would charm your creature in there if he did not have a way to counteract Defiant Dance. So it really takes a skilled player knowing that your opponent would not have done that move to conserve the Defiant Dance. Yes, you can rip the Defiant Dance and have them use whatever they had in their hand, but you really want to trade your Defiant Dance for an On Guard? Personally, I think that is not worth it in most situations. And while I was talking, that Ride to Win was pretty nasty, scoring a point on Malik's turn. We were going down a lot of mana, so we're behind on mana, but we are so ahead on the tempo. Malik has to develop his board here in order to come back into the game, because we are going to get double points and go to 5 next turn with a hold and a gank. The best thing about holding and ganking with Irelia is then we can untap her and move her back to base. A hold is the best way to protect your Irelia because you can end with Irelia inside your base instead of trapped at a battlefield.
Yep, and here is the Vex coming down.
Man, the second Vex, that's a great setup card.
I actually can't wait for Vex in this next set. I really like the champion. I really like her vibe. You know, cool little character.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I want someone with a unit as their signature to be kind of good. I like the Vex little shadow thing. I don't know how strong it's going to be. It seems very clunky and hard to make use of. But once someone makes a deck, I feel like it is a mechanic where I feel it might just be like, oh, that's a crazy mechanic once a deck is crafted for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't quite see one yet, but, you know.
And that's the beauty of Riftbound. It's on us. It's on me. It's on you. It's on you, viewer, to move the dial of the science of the deck.
Get me the infinite stun Vex combo.
Just know, I'm working on Lucian, guys. Lucian, that's my baby. But Clinton really thinking here. Clinton has to make sure he has to leave up as much mana as possible because this Vex is taxing him.
And what's pretty cool is we do end in the Targon's Peak again because of the way we rode the wind on the final turn to get out of the Targon's Peak. So even though Vex is going to be taxing us in extra mana for our cards, the Targon Peak is kind of giving us that mana back. So if we play 2 1-mana spells for 1 mana, the Targon's Peak is allowing us to kind of get over that Vex tax right now. So we can play 2 buff spells. I do think it is hyper risky to keep that Irelia inside of the Targon's Peak because we only have 2 spells to sling, while Malik, all the spells are 1 mana now.
But if Clinton is able to basically stave off this, he is going to be a whole turn ahead. That is the one caveat of leaving up a unit like this here. Being a whole turn ahead is so strong because you get to basically just spend a whole turn building up at least 1 turn.
Now, callback to 2 turns ago when the Vex died and we held the Defiant Dance because we knew he had something in his hand. This is the point where Clinton can only use 2 spells, but we can use as many spells as we want. So that extra Defiant Dance on this turn is literally everything.
Yep. And then the Vex tax will just keep on coming down here. Ooh, an Emperor's Divide. If you don't know what Emperor's Divide does, that's a really interesting thing. It's basically half of a fight or flight. It is a hidden / action where you get to pull any amount of units that you control back into base. So oftentimes being used as a way to protect whatever card you want, but also does double duty. Emperor's Divide pulling a unit back so you can end up conquering another side.
Honestly, thank goodness that went through though. If that got negated, we were so out.
Yeah, the game was over at that point. But I like this push and pull from both sides.
Malik has a charm though. That goes hard. Okay, develop an Irelia of our own. I do like this. This kind of is the time to charm that Irelia and rip it in. But I don't mind just developing Irelia of our own. But that does make us a little weak in the next turn. I like making it in base. And that Targon Peak combo with the Vex means that we have 4 spells to use.
But when in combat, we have even more because the cost reduction of Vex is huge. If you look at the normal Irelia deck, oftentimes there's a lot of 2-mana interruption, and being able to basically cut it in half is so powerful. But here it is, the Irelia running up into the Sunken Temple, most likely being able to draw. Malik is not going to fight over that. Going up to 5. 5 is a very strange spot to be in because that is not necessarily going to be game point here. If Clinton can somehow untap this Irelia, run over, and successfully, conquer the other side, we are going to get to this pivotal 6-point break point. However, this Vex is going to be huge, and I like this. I really like that he has to preemptively do it to untap it, but I'm not going to lie, you have to use as many buff spells as possible to play around this Vex, because you can't let her be in combat.
I think if we charm, it is nice to use them all here first. Malik is going to go to 6 next turn because he's going to, have the Irelia move it back and whatnot. So the problem here is that Malik is going to 6 next turn, but we are staying at 5 because we cannot get into that Vex over
Malik's
there.
going to 5, actually. Malik is the top side.
Yeah, and then he's going to gank and get 6.
Oh, 6, okay.
So he's going to go 5, 6, but then we're only at 6, 7. Classic. But then it just makes it so hard for Malik. We had to kind of get that 6 point in that last turn, but it is so scary to do so because now we cannot win on our next turn, but Malik can definitely win on the turn after that. So Malik has the first opportunity to win this game.
That's actually one of my favorite things to happen in Riftbound is you end up getting to the 6 point before your opponent, and then now your opponent can't kill you, so then you can actually just set up a turn where basically checkmate can happen without any risk, and that's the biggest thing. Is you just want to be able to minimize the amount of risk you have for actually getting this game point. So if you're willing to take a whole turn off because you aren't going to lose anything for it, it's a huge, huge advantage. And Malik basically, he doesn't even need to set it up. This is actually just game point right now.
Yeah, Malik is fast, shuffler, fast player.
Yep. Also, if you don't know, Malik is actually one of the top 30 players in the nation. So you're actually looking at him. If you don't know his account, his name is actually Molly Q. Look him up, stalk him on Rift Elo. That's actually one of my biggest things that I love doing now is going on Rift Elo and just looking up everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Does it reset every set?
That's what they're asking is if they should reset it.
Every set or every? I think they should make seasons.
What I think they should do is they should have a soft reset, but I don't know actually how Elo systems work. So, and here it is. Clinton basically needs to at least get rid of one of these units to stop Malik from winning here. And I'm not gonna lie, I want to kill this Vex. If I had an option here, I'm trying to kill this Vex for 2 reasons. I'm trying to get specifically more mana, and I'm trying to get rid of this Vex because the longer she's in the game, the more she taxes my mana.
I think it's just so hard to do that because he definitely has a Guardian's Angel in there. We're just going to save that GA for Irelia, though. That way we can just double conquer win next turn. Oh, the Tide Turner to save the Vex. Malik does run the Tide Turner. Is something that not all of them run. It's, very important and very good card. But being able to switch that Vex into the Irelia zone when we committed to killing the Vex is so strong. That is what allowed us to get our fifth and sixth point, the hold and our conquer. But now we can move that Vex into Irelia. Almost impossible for us to stop this and for us to actually take over that. With the amount of mana we have now, we only have 4 mana. We cannot overtake that Vex spot now. We'll have a million. We can do whatever we want in our hand. Also, the best part about Charm is that you can also charm your opponent out of the battlefield. So next turn is a free win because Malik has a Charm in his hand.
It's crazy that green, if you combine Fight or Flight, it becomes Charm and Emperor's Divide.
By 2 separate cards. That's how broken.
That's how broken Fight or Flight is.
Fight or Flight was my favorite card of all time. We really do have to go for this fight. We have to take him out. I really don't think we can win this fight here.
So I see in Killington's hand, he actually has 2 defies, but scary thing here, he only has 1 green rune available. So
I think we have Flash and Emperor's Divide in our hand. So we might go for a couple of spells to bait out some negates, and then we're just going to flash him back and then charm him out the battlefield and leave him on no mana, which is just kind of crazy. We got to remember the Vex, 1 more mana.
And I think this is going to be just game here because Malik is going to have to, basically use another pump spell. And then we can see he has 2 more pump spells. So basically he will have enough to, and he has a flash even.
Yeah, he's just gonna flash out after he uses, he just uses that to. Oh no, he's at 6. Because he just scored the 6, and then this Conquer would be his 7th point if he gets his Conquer real quick. Because he was only at 5 on the turn before.
And a on guard coming down, pumping up this Irelia, making it harder and harder and harder for Clinton. Here's the thing. Clinton can't even use the Discipline because this Vex is in combat. Only 1 mana spells are able for him to use because the Vex tax.
We do have the flash, so regardless of what happens, we flash our people back. We win the combat, and we're able to just
get the 8th point.
Yeah, get the 8th point anyway. And another Defiant Dance. We are dancing on him. Defiant Dance is crazy.
Yeah,
so
plus,
crazy.
A 5-point swing for 1 mana is actually absurd.
It's kind of like Punch First,
Yeah. I mean, that's why I love me some Rune Runner, because it ruins Defiant Dance math.
When do you forget to take a point?
And the combat happens. Let's see who makes it out alive here. And Clinton basically having no green mana. This is going to be a huge thing, and that is going to be game for Malik, showing him that he has the flash to move back the unit and to be able to conquer here. And Malik is able to confidently say he has that option because there is no green mana for Clinton. Only a Rebuke is an answer here, and there you go. That is it, a 2-0 for Malik, a masterclass on Irelia.
I don't think he missed one, but I'll have to watch it back for sure. Good thing it didn't end up mattering, though, because he lost that last little battle right there.
Yep, and that is going to be 2-0 for Malik, and that was an awesome match. Just so you guys know, this is Conquer and Hold. We have a YouTube channel. Come check us out. We have a lot of awesome videos. We upload most of our VODs onto here. And then also, this is the People's Card Shop. This is a shop here in Vegas. Come check us out. But also, every 6:30, we stream on Twitch. And just want to say thank you to all 33 people watching. Really appreciate you guys coming in. And we have 22 minutes left in this round. So we are going to go ahead and take a small commercial break. But come on through, stay in, and we'll have more Riftbound goodness for you.